Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another Astra Militarum regiment video. As I've done a few already, I've done Steel Legion, I've done Cadians, I've done Krieg, and last week I did Talaran Desert Raiders. And this week I'm going to tackle another one, which is the Vostroyan Firstborn, a very epic regiment of Imperial Guard, very well known. It's probably the most ornate Imperial Guard regiment that exists, very antique looking equipment and weapons. It can seem like quite an intimidating process to paint them up, and that is not really the case at all. I'm going to show you guys a really quick and easy way of getting them done. Obviously, I understand that these videos sometimes can have to be taken with a pinch of salt, because this can excite someone and make them want to collect the Vostroyan Firstborn, but obviously they are not available anymore. So usually they are eBay purchases and they can cost you an arm and a leg. And I am sorry if I make you feel bad in that sense. You go off trying to find them and you can't. Games Workshop does have a habit of bringing them back as a made to order every now and again. So if you do bide your time, you will probably be able to pick up a regiment. But the last time they did bring them back, the prices for them from the Games Workshop website were also very, very high. So I don't know if it's still going to be something everyone is going to be able to achieve. So once again, I am sorry if anyone feels put out by the video, but I am just trying to get absolutely every guard regiment on the channel for those people who do have them. Before I get into it, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. There's so many of you now. You keep flooding in, and it's amazing to see. And I do like giving back to you guys. That's why I do have the private Discord server where you can talk to me on a daily basis about your hobby and participate in different events. And I also give you guys an extra video every single week, which is just for you guys. So I hope you guys are finding that awesome. If you would like to get involved with my Patreon, there's links to it below and you can check it out for yourself. Okay, without further ado, let's get painting a Vostroyan Firstborn. And this is the Vostroyan Sergeant that I have decided to use for this particular painting video. I got him glued to his base, sprayed black, and then sprayed Grey Seer. For those of you unfamiliar with the regiment that is the Vostroyan Firstborn, the interesting fact about them is that in the name, the Vostroyan Firstborn. This regiment is raised from a world called Vostroya. The interesting fact about them is 10 millennia ago, during the Horus Heresy, they refused the call to arms from the Emperor. He demanded that all loyal subjects and all their arms, all the Imperial Guard regiments and so on and so forth that can and are fit and able join the fight and defend the Imperium do so. They made an executive decision not to do that. They thought it was it would be better for them to continue producing large quantities of arms and munition for the Imperial war effort, and they did not send their populace to fight. After the Horus Heresy, they were pretty much pardoned for it. A lot of people would have considered this, they got off lightly, if you will, thinking that they should have been, I don't know, they should have grievous punishments. But instead, they kind of decided to atone for it themselves. And that's where the Firstborn name comes into place. Every single Firstborn member of the family has to be conscripted into the Imperial Guard. So therefore, every family gives a tithe of its children to continue fighting in the Emperor's wars and continue on in his grand designs. So a bit crazy, but that's how it goes. Hence their armor being so ornate and so holy, like relics and antiques. They are passed down from family member to family member as time goes on, and that's why they're of such kind of amazing design and upkeep, much higher quality than the standard Astra Militarum soldier. So as you've seen here, I've started with some greys for some of the fatigues. Red went all over all of the cloth and everywhere that's going to be gold. Red is a far superior base coat to gold than the Grey Seer would have been. And it's a lot easier just to coat all of the pieces, both gold and red, with the red paint first. And then just like I'm doing now with the Retributor Armor Gold, just going back over and painting all of the gold trim and all the gold details that are supposed to be on these miniatures. Obviously the Vostroyans have quite a lot of, I keep saying gold. It is gold, but it's more of like a brassy kind of an antique coppery kind of color, and I will shift it more towards that hue later on with my choice of shade. But as you can see, the gold goes over the red really nicely, and it's a very quick and easy way of getting the base coats on these miniatures. I nearly didn't bother adding these two bits in, which is the Agros Dunes for the paper bit of the Purity Seal and the Volupus Pink for the wax seal bit. I keep showing these bits over and over again in videos, and I'm sure not even every Vostroyan is going to have a Purity Seal on them, so maybe this is wasted time, or maybe you guys like it. But yeah, the Purity Seal, Agros Dunes, Volupus Pink, for the base coats on that. Lead Belcher was then brought in, and there actually isn't a lot of silver on this particular miniature. It's just the remainder of his las pistol. So obviously the clip, the handle, and the barrel sticking at the top, and obviously that barrel on top as well. Got a little coat of silver. And then the wiring on the side of his head, I also decided to do that silver color as well. Fire Slayer flesh was then used for the skin. Now he's got a white mustache, so I was very careful actually when I was applying the contrast not to hit the mustache, because I was going to leave this the bare Grey Seer, let the shade do most of the work. Same with the feather coming out of his glorious hat. From here, it's time for the shade, and this is where I'm going to lean on Berserker Blood Shade to shade the entire miniature. This will obviously work very well for the red, and it'll also push the gold more to a kind of a copper scheme. It'll work very well on the face, and even on the greys and the browns, it's going to work a treat as well. It's a nice, warm, rich color, so there's nothing to worry about there. After that shade is dry, and I added a bit of texture paste to the base, I waited for it to dry, and then, yeah, I started the layering process. As you can see, I think it looks really good as it is, and we're going to spend a couple of minutes layering it up. This model was very, very quick to paint. Like I said in the beginning, it can seem like quite a daunting schema. A lot of people will probably have a squad or two, if not an army, of these guys hiding under their bed from one of the made to orders, or did you buy them back in the day and you were concerned that they were never going to get painted? Well, I think this guide will definitely help a couple of people out in getting them on the tabletop. Even just some quick base coats and washes to get them, you know, not be the unpainted silver that they are. As you can see with the corn red, I'm being very sparse with it, just layering up all the fabric, but just kind of the very higher points, leaving the nice dark shaded areas nice and dark. It's kind of want that look. Lead Belcher was then brought in, and this was used to highlight all of the gold and silver on the model. So as you can see, when I'm doing on the gold, it's just those little dot highlights, little touches every now and again, and it just gives that kind of sense of gleaming. I didn't want to go crazy. I definitely wanted to still look like coppery armor instead of going too silver or too gold with it. It's a nice balancing act. But this step only takes a couple of seconds, and it, like I said, it layers up all the gold parts on the miniature, which there are quite a lot of. And I think with this technique being so fast, it definitely helps the scheme a lot. From here, we're going to move over to Mechanica Standard Grey and use this to highlight all of the grey bits we started with. So in between his jacket, the top of his boots, which I still can't tell whether they're like the top of big leather boots or they're his trousers, and I might have gotten the boots wrong, and like even those bits directly under the jacket should have been the brown bits, but I don't know. And then obviously the cuff of his sleeve. A normal model would have them on both sleeves, but this guy's got a power fist, so you don't see that. Bit of Cadian flesh tone to highlight the face. Obviously these models are quite well detailed, so a few tiny highlights on, like I said, cheeks, nose, chin, those kind of bits and pieces. The raised areas really is going to work a treat for them. Time to layer up that purity seal. So Zandri Dust used for the paper part of it, and then Pink Horror used for the wax seal. Just have that little bit of splash of color. Not that a model this ornate needs a splash of color, but the purity seal is on the model anyway, so we might as well go for it. This is the finished result after I dry brush up the base a little bit. And as I can see, I'm really quite happy with the result. I think I have 70 or 80 Vostroyan miniatures, plus I don't know how many weapon teams to paint up myself. So I've got quite the collection to get through. And I think with a scheme as simple and quick to do as this, I should be able to churn through them quite quickly if I can find a little bit of time to myself to actually get stuck in. A few high resolution images just to show off what it will look like on the tabletop to finish off. And yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Okay guys, and as you can see, these are not complicated miniatures to paint. A few simple techniques goes a really long way in making them look pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. I do have an entire army of Vostroyan Firstborn to paint up, and that is the first miniature I've done for that army. So maybe this will push me over the edge to get that regiment done in the near future. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Let me know which regiment you want to see next in the comments, or anything else you want to see on the channel. I'm more than happy to accommodate all. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, like 2/3 of the people watching my videos aren't, it would mean the world for me if you took 2 seconds out of your day and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.